Hello GeoBuffs and welcome to GeoBytes. How is the Earth observation industry going to grow in the coming years? How is Microsoft turning your smartphone into a 3D scanner? And how President Obama almost was stalked by a drone. Stay tuned to find out all of this and more. I'm your host, I.J. Hudson. A report on satellite-based Earth observation forecasts that data, value-added services, and information product markets from Earth observation will reach $4.5 billion by 2024. This is almost a 100% jump from $2.3 billion in 2014. The report, released by Gnss, a prominent international market research and consulting firm, says the thriving information product segment will drive the EO market. The industry is transitioning to an era of very high-resolution imagery and increased adoption of big data analytics products in the face of decreasing data prices for medium and high-resolution imagery. The market saw a sizable increase of $200 million in 2014 because of an economic recovery. This led to greater expenditure by governments and a thriving information products segment. The supply of sub-meter resolution imagery is likely to explode with the launch of multiple small satellite constellations, the report added. This trend will require distribution models to be more efficient and secure and put pressure on pricing of medium and high-resolution data. At the same time, opportunities will grow with very high-resolution or below 50-centimeter data for both optical and SAR imagery. The EO industry is at a point where vast new untapped markets could open up, but this is assuming that the data quality and its ease of use and integration in information products will continually improve to meet requirements of an increasing large and more sophisticated end-user market. The market dynamics in commercial satellite EO point to more consolidation in the near future as operators try to leverage each other's strengths to better compete for government and commercial market share. In another related development, the number of satellites for commercial and government applications is set to grow more than the market value of the business over the next decade. Research by Euroconsult says an average of 140 satellites with a launch mass over 50 kilograms are expected to be launched each year. The bulk of revenues for the manufacturing and launch of these satellites will be due to government contracts rather than commercial applications. In the commercial space sector, Euroconsult anticipates a total of 550 satellites to be launched over the decade by 40 companies. Governments in 60 countries will be responsible for 75% of the $255 billion in revenues expected from the manufacturing and launch of these 1,400 new satellites. Established space countries will replace and expand their in-orbit satellite systems, and more countries will acquire their first operational satellite systems. The 1,400 satellite count over the decade already includes 350 satellites to be deployed by 10 commercial constellations into low or medium Earth orbits for communication or Earth observation. Even though the future looks bright, the satellite industry is surely passing through some tough times at present because of a turndown in U.S. military spending and delays in commercial orders. The Boeing company has warned its workers that it would be reducing several hundred jobs in its satellite business through the end of 2015. Boeing spokesman Tim Neal confirmed the reductions and said the total number of people affected would be finalized soon. The Boeing announcement marks the latest fallout from the ongoing debate about the future of the U.S. Export-Import Bank, which can no longer write new loans and trade guarantees. Multiple commercial orders were being delayed by recent failures of launch vehicles and uncertainties about the future availability of financing from the U.S. EXIM, whose government charter lapsed on June 30th. Boeing's announcement comes a little over a month after commercial satellite provider ABS canceled a large satellite contract with Boeing due to uncertainty about the future of the EXIM Bank. Lockheed Martin scientists are packing 3 times the power density into a key satellite cooling system, whose previous design is already the lightest in its class. The project is in line with the company's effort to reduce component size, enabling compact, higher power spacecraft payloads and smaller sensor platforms back on Earth. Highly sophisticated electronics like satellite sensors and cameras need to be cooled to detect what they are designed to capture, even to temperatures as low as minus 320 degrees Fahrenheit. Smaller cryocoolers mean more affordable satellites and launches, and they have applications on Earth too. With higher power, the microcryocooler enables larger, more sensitive IR sensors, which is especially useful for very high-resolution images. In an interesting disclosure, it has come to light that a branch of the U.S. military had to send a warning about a local drone because it was flying near President Barack Obama as he played golf at the Floridian National Golf Club in Palm City. Newly released reports from the Federal Aviation Administration show that local drone incidents are happening at a rate of about once a month now. The incident with President Obama, which took place on March 29th, doesn't say how close the drone was or whether foul play was suspected. However, reportedly, the U.S. Secret Service called the FAA to report that the U.S. Coast Guard had spotted a drone flying in the vicinity of POTUS, the President of the United States. Local newspaper, the Palm Beach Post, has filed a Freedom of Information Act request for records on the incident. California lawmakers have sided with privacy advocates to pass a bill that bans drones from flying lower than 350 feet over private property. The bill, once signed by Governor Jerry Brown, will create a no-fly zone in the state. The bill will make flying a UAV over private property below 350 feet without the consent of the owner or tenants a trespass offense. The California State Assembly passed the bill on Monday, despite pressure from drone users and manufacturers who say the new law will stifle innovation in the growing industry. Meanwhile, North Dakota became the only state to allow high drone flights both day and night. The FAA approved a plan last week that allows drones to be flown up to 1,200 feet above the entire state and permits flights at night. The other 6 sites, where researchers are trying to figure out how to integrate unmanned aircraft into civilian airspace, are limited to a 200-foot blanket and daylight hours. Officials at the Northern Plains site wasted no time getting up in the air at night last week with the Dragonflyer X4ES, which was monitored by 3 University of Northern Dakota pilots. The move will really expand and encourage the type of operations one can conduct. For instance, some precision agriculture sensors are designed to function at a minimum altitude of 250 feet, and drones that would be flown to look for hot spots in wildfires or used for search and rescue missions generally work better at a higher altitude. Alaska, New York, Nevada, Texas, and Virginia also were selected in December 2013 as national test sites for unmanned aircraft, which the FAA does not currently allow for commercial use. Moving on to other areas, the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization has decided to develop a new open access data portal that uses satellite imagery to provide insights into more efficient and productive use of agricultural waters. The move is aimed to help water-scarce countries in the Near East and North Africa better manage the resource. The North Africa and Near East regions suffer from severe water scarcity. This is expected to further intensify as climate change leads to more frequent and longer droughts, severely impacting food production. The aim of the new data portal, to be developed in October, is to collect and analyze satellite information to improve land and water productivity and boost the sustainability of agricultural systems. All information will be openly available for countries and users who need it. FAO will assist countries in monitoring land and water production, identifying productivity gaps, proposing solutions to reduce these gaps, and contributing to a sustainable increase in agricultural production. Well, it's time for a short break now, but don't go anywhere. We'll see you on the other side with some interesting developments and news on strategic tie-ups.
Once again, Trimble is leading the way in positioning technology with the new Trimble R8S Gnss receiver. An entirely new way to look at receiver possibilities. Simply choose the configuration and features you require today. Then, add features as you need them tomorrow. It's the ultimate in scalability. With this innovative receiver, you tailor your system to your job, to the way you work. Choose the level of configuration that suits your needs. As your requirements change, the Trimble R8S can adapt. You simply add functionality whenever you want it. Each Trimble R8S comes standard with integrated Maxwell 6 chips, Trimble 360 tracking technology, and more, all to keep you productive and expand the reach of your GNSS system. Plus, it offers our exclusive web UI for remote monitoring and the new Trimble DL Android app for GNSS data logging. And the Trimble R8S maximizes productivity by easily integrating with the Trimble S-Series total stations and our innovative V10 imaging rover. For ultimate field efficiency, combine the Trimble R8S receiver with a Trimble controller and the intuitive Trimble Access Field software. Trust Trimble Business Center to help you edit, process, and adjust your data. It's the kind of solution you have come to expect from Trimble. We've been setting the standard in positioning technology for more than 30 years. See how we're raising the bar again with the Trimble R8S GNSS receiver.
Welcome back, and now time for some industry news. 3D printing may soon get a lot simpler. A new technology from the Microsoft Research Lab allows 3D scanning to be done from your smartphone with no additional hardware needed. Microsoft has developed this app called Mobile Fusion, which allows you to walk around an object and scan it to your phone. It first captures the RGB data in an environment, then takes a stereo depth map as you make your way around an item. Once the scan is complete, it's rendered immediately so users can see if they got the 3D image they desire.
As the object is captured from all angles, the 3D model gets refined and completed. Once satisfied with the scan, the user can view, share, or print the 3D model instantaneously. This research project can allow any mobile device to turn into a real-time 3D.
Epson, the top projector brand worldwide, has announced that it has teamed up with Autodesk to make it easier for consultants and design engineers to specify Epson projector solutions within the Autodesk Revit software. Design professionals using the software can now easily access Epson projectors within Autodesk Seek, a web service that enables designers to quickly discover, preview, and download BIM files, models, drawings, and product specifications for their active design sessions. The Revit software helps architects and designers design buildings using a building information modeling or BIM process. TerraGo has announced a technology partnership with CHC Channel that combines the mobile GPS collaboration platform TerraGo Edge with CHC's rugged, high-accuracy GNSS systems to meet the needs of the most demanding field positioning tasks. TerraGo Edge now offers advanced integration and support for CHC's line of GNSS receivers, including the X20i DGPS and X91i RTK high-accuracy receivers, bringing cost-effective half-meter and sub-inch performance to smartphone and tablet users. These compact, cable-free, and lightweight units are rugged enough for any field environment. TerraGo Edge meets the needs of GPS users, survey teams, and GIS departments while delivering substantial cost savings over legacy technology. The TerraGo Edge app directly integrates with CHC's GPS GNSS receivers to give mobile users dynamic monitoring and capturing of high-precision GPS data on iOS and Android devices. Two Russian space companies and Iran's Boyan Danish Sharg have signed an agreement on joint development of an Earth remote sensing satellite system for Iran. The agreement was signed at the MAX 2015 air show in the presence of Russian Deputy Prime Minister Dmitry Rogozin and Roscosmos General Director Igor Komarov. VNI-EEM Corporation CEO Leonid Makrokendo specified that the pre-contractual arrangement covers the development of an Earth remote sensing system based on an upgraded version of the Canopus V1 observation satellite. The launch of the system on a Russian Soyuz carrier rocket is tentatively scheduled for 2018. An updated version of the GLONASS satellite navigation network in compliance with the Russian Defense Ministry requirements will be made available for use by the ministry by the year's end. The Russian Aerospace Forces recently held a meeting on the issue and decided that tests of GLONASS should be completed this year. Andrei Toyolin, CEO of the developing company Russian Space Systems, said the updated system was planned to be put into operation several years ago, but the Defense Ministry had a number of issues. The updated version of GLONASS will show significant changes in that system. Scientists and young scientists and students, here's some new news for you. An information competition has been launched as part of the 2016 ISPRS Congress to award students and young scientists for academic papers related to the use of Globeland 30. Globeland 30 is a global 30-meter high resolution and multi-temporal global land cover asset and is an invaluable open access data source for research and applications in remote sensing and spatial science. The International Society for Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing has proposed a session based on the Globeland 30 project during the 2016 ISPRS Congress in Prague, with prizes available for the best 2 paper entries from students or young scientists. A first prize award of 1,500 euros and 2 second prize awards of 1,000 euros will be presented to the winners of the paper competition. Entries are open internationally for students or young scientists 35 years or younger, and the first author of a paper submitted to the Globeland 30 theme session. The Oracle Spatial Summit 2016 has joined forces with the annual Business Intelligence, Warehousing, and Analytics Summit, BIWA. The summit is scheduled to be held from January 26th to 28th in Redwood Shores, California. This is the premier event for Oracle Spatial Technologies, offering technical training and hands-on labs direct from the Oracle developers, as well as use cases from leading practitioners and customers worldwide. The summit, with the theme Big Data, will have sessions on the latest in BI, Big Data, and cloud computing. Sessions will show the latest technologies, techniques, and best practices for incorporating location and geospatial analysis and mapping services relevant to domains including land management, utilities, transportation, telco, or retail and finance. We will slip in another short break, but when we come back, we will take you for an exclusive coverage of the ENVI Analytics Symposium at Colorado. The NVI Analytics Symposium is being held at Boulder, Colorado. The first ever event saw participation of around 200 delegates, showing a lot of enthusiasm, according to Nathan Pender, Manager, Marketing Communications of Harris Corporation. Sponsored by companies like Airbus Defense and Space, Esri, Digital Globe, NVIDIA, and others, the event had discussions around algorithms and analytics for newer data sets from UAVs, small satellites, and geospatial big data and cloud processing. Our colleague Banu Rekha spoke to the staff and participants, and here are updates from the venue.
We're here today at Boulder, Colorado, participating in NV Analytics Symposium. NV has done a great job in bringing leading minds in remote sensing and data science to further the discussion on geospatial analytics and how geospatial analytics can be put to solving society's problem. To find out more about the conference, about the symposium, let's talk to Nathan Pinder, the marketing director from Gnss.
My name is Nathan Pinder. I work for Harris Corporation and specifically the part of the company that develops NV software. We're at our very first NV Analytics Symposium. We're really excited about it, and the reason we wanted to do this was to bring in people from across the industry to have a good discussion around analytics and specifically geospatial analytics and how those can be applied to problems that need to be solved. Everything from food security to event security and beyond. We're really excited to have this going on here in Boulder. We've got approximately 180 people from 10 different countries and about 80 different organizations here, and we're having a lot of great discussions. There's a lot of people right now talking about some very cool technology. We had some great sponsors to help pull this off, including Airbus Defense and Space and Esri as our platinum sponsors, and a host of others as well, including Digital Globe and NVIDIA, Cloud.io, high-speed computing. We really thank them for helping us get this all put together as well. Why Boulder? So we are based here in Boulder, Colorado. The NV software product has been developed here in Boulder for decades. I want to say it's close to 30 years now, and Boulder just felt like the right place. We felt the need for this type of an event for some time. We've been talking about it. We pulled the trigger this year, and there's obviously some interest in doing an event like this because we sold out. We had people asking to come to the event, and we just plain old did not have enough seats to fit everybody. We haven't quite started planning next year's yet, but we certainly want to make this an annual event, and we want to continue to attract the very high quality speakers that we have here for these 2 days in Boulder this year. We also had workshops at our actual office yesterday, so before the event started, and we're going to have some workshops the day after the event as well. The folks that attended workshops yesterday really liked them and really enjoyed kind of getting hands-on the technology. We've got a computer lab set up there with NV, and we had some of our partners come in as well to talk about their technology.
I think the most important thing to remember about NV, its basic premise was science to be science first, and so the commitment to science and bringing the best algorithms and tools for unique data, hyperspectral animetry, then multispectral, then synthetic aperture radar, that commitment has always been there. And so when people use NV to process remote sensing data, they're actually getting the best science that the world has to offer from research institutions and from practitioners and professionals. One of the hallmarks of NV is we've always tried to support as many different sensor platforms as possible, both orbital platforms and airborne platforms. That commitment continues. Every year we add additional data formats to the platform. For example, we've added new SAR capabilities in terms of ingesting SAR data as new SAR orbital systems came on board from Europe. We continue to do that. We're especially looking at the small sat revolution, and there's some interesting data format requirements for the small sats, and through our affiliation now with Harris, we have exposure to those payloads, and we're adding that to NV.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Joe Peters. I'm a solutions engineer with the Harris Corporation, and I work primarily with the NV and IDL products. We also have the NV Services Engine, which allows us to deploy our algorithms in a cloud environment. And so I'm just going to talk briefly about something that we introduced in NV 5.1. We're now at version NV 5.3. We introduced something called the NV Task System. And so the NV Task System contains discrete bits of image processing. It's called programmatically through the NV API, which is written in IDL, which is our programming language. So the NV Task System is really cool. I work with it all the time. First off, I just want to point out, I'm typing with one hand here, so bear with me, how well the NV Task System is optimized on the internet so that we can actually search and discover the tasks that are available in NV. So if I just Google NV Task, you'll see the first thing that pops up here is our Doc Center and NV Tasks. So we have all of the available tasks, of which we have over 100. And we can click on any one of these, say ISO data classification, get information about how we might run that task in Envy. And so there's a lot of great things about this Envy task system. Number one, it's all these bits of image pre-processing and analysis, so we can string them together, have the input from one task be the output from the previous task, so we can run batch processing, whether it's radiometric calibration, atmospheric correction, maybe performing some spectral indices, and we can do that rapidly with lots and lots of images. And that's really cool because we're getting into the era of big data where we have multi-temporal data sets that span time and space, and with that data we need to be able to process it quickly. So the task system allows us to do that, number one. And number two, it allows us to build custom algorithms because we can tweak these Envy tasks. We can adjust the thresholds, we can mess around with the values that we're pulling out of our data. And so let's go ahead and get into Envy, and I'll show you how I've deployed a custom task for the particular thing we're going to be looking at here will be the difference normalized burn ratio, which is a commonly used algorithm for extracting burn severity from imagery. And in this particular task, I've customized it to work with Landsat data. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my custom task that's deployed in my Envy toolbox. So I'll go ahead and click on that. You can see that my Landsat difference normalized burn ratio widget popped up, so I've got this little interface. If I wanted some help on this, I could go ahead and ask for some help. It tells me exactly what this algorithm is going to do. And what it's going to do is it's going to take a pre-fire image from a Landsat sensor. It's going to take a post-fire image from a Landsat sensor. It's going to do normalized burn ratio on both of those images, and then it's going to subtract one from the other. And so it's pretty cool, it's pretty powerful, and the whole idea here is that we're doing this quickly. We're just getting our input images and we're letting the software do the rest for us. So we've really consolidated this whole processing chain into just a couple of clicks of a mouse. So let's go ahead and run this. Let's go ahead and select a pre-fire image, and this is, by the way, this example is from the Rim Fire, which burned in California back in, I want to say, August of 2013. And so I'll choose a post-fire image, and I'll just go ahead and leave the default output raster and click OK. And so you can see we've loaded a pre-fire scene from the Landsat sensor, a post-fire scene, and then on top of that post-fire scene, we've already got our result, which is a difference normalized burn ratio. And so let me go ahead and show you what that result looks like a little bit more closely. So here's our difference normalized burn ratio. Underneath it, you can see the burn scar in the post-fire image. And this grayscale image is actually showing us burn severity. And so if I were to do a raster color slice, which in Envy speak, that's essentially thresholding a grayscale image, I've got a kind of preset bunch of slices that represent burn severity in Landsat imagery. So there's my burn severity, where the darkest red is the most severely burned areas, and we've got low to moderate and moderate burn severity throughout the image. And so this is just one way that we can deploy Envy tasks. We can also deploy them in the cloud, and we could actually run these same algorithms in the cloud via a web interface. So it's really exciting stuff that we're working on.
How has been Envy Analytics Symposium for you so far?
Exciting. So it just
what
started.
brings you?
It just started, and of course it also was my long relationship with Stuart. I'm excited about Envy, about the technology, what they are doing, bringing really science to the remote sensing piece, and we're excited of working together as partners. It's a really fruitful partnership right now, and when I saw these great preparations of this conference here, it's outstanding.
Gnss is part of Harris. How do you see that as a more contributing to Cloud EOS business, and how do you see this partnership evolving?
I see this as a great opportunity because, as we also said already in this panel discussion, it's not just about satellite images, airborne imagery, drones are coming up, UAVs, LiDAR, airborne. And so working together with Harris and Harris and Geospatial, I think it's a great opportunity, and we are glad to be part in this partnership.
That's all we have for you on GeoBytes today. Find us on www.geobuiz.com and follow GeoBuiz on Twitter. I'm IJ Hudson.
I was like perplexed why the name human to the geospatial angle.
We have a lot of obviously formidable competitors in the mapping space.
The imagery goes back to the very beginning of GIS.
If we think about land, I mean, land is a key core to prosperity.
Thank you, Hugo, for speaking with the GeoBuiz and Geospatial world.
Hello, my name is Josef Strobl. I am professor at the University of Salzburg, heading the Department of Geoinformatics, and at the same time I have the honor of chairing the International UniGS Distance Learning Network, which is a partnership of a dozen universities worldwide. Well, I think it was Henry Ford who said that everyone who stops learning gets old. And that's maybe more true than ever. The times where we went to school and that lasted one for a lifetime certainly are over. We are facing rapid change in technologies, in geospatial technologies in particular. And clearly this is not only about faster or better. These are to a large degree with disruptive changes, and education takes care of that. And it's disruptive, it's fundamental changes in academic programs as well. Well, when the UniGS program or network was started, that was back in the 1990s. In those days, there were precious few academic programs dealing with the geospatial domain. So in those days, it was predominantly addressing professionals who needed to have a formal qualification and a decent overview over the entire field. Today, that has changed a bit. The demand comes strongly from a broad range of different disciplines. I like to phrase that within the A to Z, from archaeology to zoology, and there's clearly a lot in between. So individuals who have a first degree, who have a qualification in one or another particular what we call application domain, they recognize that the spatial domain is increasingly important, is highly relevant, and they try to complement their skills, their qualifications, their competencies with continuing education in a field like geoinformatics. In addition, there is of course quite a number of individuals holding a first degree, be that in computer science, be that in a geospatial discipline, then collecting a couple of years of professional experience and taking it from there to go back to school to go for a graduate qualification in the geospatial field. Well, I'd say distance learning clearly is not for everyone. Having said that, of course, we are looking at the motto, at the slogan of anywhere, anytime, and anyone. But clearly, distance learning is better suited for mature individuals, anyone who has collected experience in life. It's quite often linked to the fact that it's not full-time learning, but we are all in our commitments, family-wise, socially, professionally, we are bound to a place due to these factors. So distance learning is one of the flavors of continuing education, which helps with combining a professional and a personal life with continuing education. There is a lot of commonality between traditional or residential full-time programs and continuing education, and as a subset of these distance learning programs. So for instance, we refer to joint common denominators. Those would be co-curricular, or today we refer to a body of knowledge in this area. On the other hand, continuing education programs typically are much more flexible. So they have the wherewithal and offer the opportunity to adjust much more flexibly and rapidly to changes in our industry, to changes in technologies. So, for instance, when we want to address emerging fields like mobile application development, taking care of real-time data streams, big data, exploratory data analysis, we typically manage to move these emerging areas much more rapidly into the distance learning programs and into continuing education programs. Education programs in North America and in many other parts of the world, of course, have a lot in common with each other. Saying that, there is, due to the emerging technologies, which to a large degree hail from North America, there is certainly a higher level of maturity. I would not that much refer to graduate programs and to residential study programs, but certainly in North America I would observe an edge in the technical qualifications, be these two-year colleges, be these higher education programs. So there is the initiative by the U.S. Department of Labor to define the competencies, and clearly there is this is one of the very strong fields. Having said that, I'd like to make one more comment in this field. Very clearly, curricula are important, educational programs are important, but if I would look at the key decisive success factor of an individual, it still is personal motivation, dedication to the particular field, simple personal curiosity. So those personal traits quite often are much more decisive than the formal frameworks of programs, of curricula, syllabi. Professional certification is an interesting area, and that would warrant a separate discussion. I would not link it to distance learning or any other programs per se. Professional certification is highly relevant in several more technical professions. So like certification in surveying engineering, or photogrammetry. In those domains, it is well established and highly recognized. I do have a bit of a split opinion with regards to certification. On the one hand side, I'm certainly opposed to certification being used to limit access to the job market in areas where this is not strictly necessary. On the other hand, I'm very much in favor of offering certification to individuals, to students, to professionals, because it's one of the ways how to showcase one's qualifications, how to distinguish oneself. This can be done through a formal professional certification. It can be done with other means, like badging, like demonstrating competencies acquired through internships or practicals. So there is different ways how to show prospective employers that someone is standing out from the crowd. And in this area and in this particular sense, certification is something we certainly want to support in the field of geoinformatics and GIS. Yeah, overall, the job market or the fields of employment have changed, and they still keep changing. There is some obvious observations, like in many parts of the world, we observe a quite substantial shift from the public sector over to the private sector. It's of course not as simple as that. When I yesterday was coming to today's location and was using the Uber service for my personal transportation, this is certainly something we wouldn't have expected to be a major player in the geospatial field a short while ago, even several months ago. And when we now observe that Uber nearly successfully was bidding for the Nokia Here service and is in the process of establishing themselves as a major actor in the geospatial domain, we observe that things are changing rapidly. Maybe one of the key reasons for that change in employment patterns is the emergence of FOSS, so free and open source software, the parallel emergence of cloud-based computing, and of course all the changes we see in the UAV-based data acquisition, in personal technologies, in the linking of the real world and the virtual world with those nice little beacons in the Bluetooth low energy environment. So all of these technical developments make it much easier today for individuals to maybe set up their own companies, not only to be self-employed, but to be entrepreneurs in the true sense of the word, because the hurdles to go out there and set up one's own business are much, much lower than they used to be. So when talking to current students or to professionals who are considering a further add-on qualification, a graduate qualification, clearly the first answer to that question would be do what you love to do, because things you like to do, typically we are doing well. And to follow one's own instincts very clearly is one of those recommendations which are generally valid across all different fields. Having said that, there clearly is a very good message out there that what I like to call the brainware in the environment of the geospatial domain is very much sought after. So there is a skill shortage, and addressing this with the proper qualifications puts oneself into certainly an attractive position in our domain. When we look back what the bottlenecks, so the hurdles for a wider dissemination of geospatial technologies and methodologies were over the past years, then we will have observed that originally there was a paucity of data. Now we are facing a flood of data. Technologies were expensive, required very substantial investment. Now, with most of the critical technologies going to a cloud environment with a pay-as-you-go environment which requires much less upfront investment, those technical and data-related requirements certainly go to the backstage. So that leaves the brainware as the critical item out there. And this is what we bring in from the educational field. So if I was calling that the good message, then there is one even better message, that there is no bad message out there. So just go for it. Your mind is the limit.